All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Mindset Check. Today I have Ann Schreiber on. Thanks, Ann, for being on today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so you and I had a great conversation offline, and I wanted to really just provide insight for our listeners and our followers and our watchers, just the audience. You have a really unique way about going, through life and through the week, through the day. One of the things that stood out to me was when you said, um, it's talking about self-actualization. One of the cool things, which is the title of this episode, is keep doing the next right thing. So could you talk to me about how that's your theme right now and how you're incorporating that into your day to day?
I think and I didn't make that up by any stretch, and I don't know who I got it from because I love, I'm nothing but a slut for self-help stuff. So I love,
Yes, I'm a,
I,
I'm a big fan. Yes.
but I think it comes from earlier in my life, just trying to do everything right, and being too perfectionistic and not being
Mm,
perfect or at all, but just wanting to have it all figured out. I think, like I don't like making mistakes. I don't like feeling like I don't know what I'm doing. And so I had to really learn how to, that a lot of success is about learning from your mistakes and just being bold and not being afraid to go out and give it a shot.
right.
And so that's really where it comes from. And just the more that I tell myself that, whether I don't want to take a step because I'm scared, or I don't want to do something because it costs money, or I don't want to do something because, I'm threatened in some way emotionally, stop trying to like look at the whole and just what's the
Mm-hmm.
next thing I can do towards
Mm,
the goal. That's
mm-hmm.
it. It removes emotional noise, I think, and barriers. And if you're unmotivated, it's just you only have to do one thing, not 15.
Yeah, because you can get overwhelmed and then you freeze, right? And,
Yeah.
and and you don't get anything done, and then the next day passes, and then you're doing the same thing, and you created a pattern, then you created a personality at that point when you're just doing it over and over. You don't find your life's purpose; you actually create it. You build it over
Yeah.
time, right? And it's similar in the sense of like you don't have to have everything figured out and perfected, but you do need to take a step today. Like what action are you going to take that's going to help you find what your life's purpose is? You don't have to have it all figured out, which I love that you brought that up because it seems to be something that you're almost like a recovering perfectionist, right?
Well, and all the people, when you really listen, and I know you do this too, just because you have this podcast. Like I love listening to successful people
Yes.
and what got them there, and all they talk about is failure. All of them.
Mm,
That is the theme of every successful person, is talking about recovering from failure, bouncing back quickly, all of that. It's like you have to be willing to keep moving forward with your best next step without knowing what, steps D, E, F, and G are maybe.
right. I know you because you were referred over to us in terms of like fitting the ideal person to interview because of your success and just kind of how you carry yourself and what you're doing with your team locally and globally, kind of how you're impacting your immediate community. How do you start your day? I mean, I feel like that has to play a big part in creating the success that you've had.
It does. And it's radically changed over time. I was fanatically regimented about it for a very long time, and I would get up at sometime between 4 and 4:30 most days and work out from 5 until 6, frantically get home and shower and change and take my kids to school. And I had, affirmations and calls I was on during that time. I was on a 5 a.m. call. There's like all kinds of 5 a.m. clubs now. But I've just found over time that I don't function really great when I get up that early because I don't go to bed at 7:30. So I've learned that I need more sleep. And I would crash and burn by 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon every day when I was getting up before 5 every day.
Mm-hmm.
So now what I do is I do exercise every day. I don't get up at the same time every day anymore. There's one night a week that I have to stay up super, super late, or I choose to because of a class I'm taking.
Nice.
So I don't get up at the same time, but I always exercise in the morning. I have a text thread that goes with a really good friend of mine named Billy, and we text each other the 10 things that we're grateful for every day. We comment back and forth. And then Billy and I have an accountability with exercise. We text each other our exercise that we've done for the day. And then at 9 a.m., I'm on a Zoom call. Sometimes it's in person, once every other week or so with my team. And we all share the 3 things we're going to do to drive business forward, the 3 most important things, and then 1 thing we're grateful for. So by the time 9:15 rolls around, I'm in a pretty good headspace.
That's beautiful. That's a good setup. I think that's a fantastic way to start. And if you can stick with that schedule, obviously it's going to create momentum. And most successful people are constantly learning. It doesn't always have to be this the topic that they're their profession. It could be totally something different. Right. But the fact is you're constantly challenging your mind, your thinking, and growing, expanding beyond just your what's going on in front of your face right now.
Well, I don't feel alive unless I'm learning and unless I have a goal. I'm just bored. Learning and growing is so important to me. It was in my wedding vows with my husband. Like, I promised to be a different person today than I was yesterday, because I just think that's life.
Right.
Like, life is growing and evolving and changing and trying to become better and failing and understanding that you're human. But that goes with everything. It goes, with work, being a parent, your passions, spirituality, all of it.
Yeah, well, Tony Robbins says something to that effect, right? Which is like progress. Happiness is progress, right? And progress happens when you're growing, you're learning, expanding. So that definitely resonates with me for sure. And you were a competitive swimmer for forever. Talk to me about how kind of that maybe influenced your consistency, your work ethic.
I owe a lot of my own personal mindset and what I believe I can accomplish and things that I've done in my life to swimming. You are part of a team, but you are alone with your with your head staring at the black line of a pool. And I swam the mile, 400 IM, 200 fly, 1,000 and 500 free, which are long. They're all the longest events, so they require a pretty decent head game. Yeah, I just learned from a very, very young age about delayed gratification and training and working really hard to show up for, at the most 16 and a half minutes that you train hours and hours and hours and hours in the pool for. My currency and my secret sauce in life is work. I don't know that I could be a rocket scientist, but I do believe if you have interest and passion, that the delta between what you want and achieving it is just time, passion, and effort. That's it. And resiliency.
Oh, powerful. I've heard a lot of people talk about just kind of getting caught up in this hustle culture, right? Where you're just like overworking. Is that something you feel is valid, or is it no, you do have to put in that hustle, or is there a balance?
I just think there's seasons, like the millennials. It's funny because you guys got a really bad rap. I'm guessing you're a millennial. I have no idea. Sorry. Got a really bad rap out of the gate, but like my team is full of millennials and they are so hardworking and so together and so driven and so goal oriented at a time in my life when I was just having a fabulous time and not doing anything that would guide me towards success. I do think you can get burnout. I think that's a real thing. I don't think any human being is immune to that, and how that evidences itself can be vices, it can be exhaustion, it can be bad health, it can be relationships, it can be a lot of different things. I went really solid and hard in real estate and had a big why for a good 8 years and killed it and was fanatical about building my business because my parents were really generous with me and I wanted to be able to take care of them when they got older, and I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't have a team. My mom died last year and I was able to do that, and I was able to be there for the last 6 months of her life, and I have no regrets about what I chose to do at the end of her life, and that was all because of what I had built. Also, that experience, and I turned 50. Those 2 things have totally changed the trajectory of what I want out of life, because all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, we've got really limited space here on this floating ball and I need to be having more fun. What's interesting is it doesn't feel like it's changing my business much. I'm just having more fun because I'm fueling myself more. Like I'm not trying to get it all out of real estate. Like I have other passions now that just make me a more balanced person, and I'm having more fun and getting my needs met like all humans need to do. And then I can show up for the business with a full cup instead of an empty cup.
Were you ever afraid of, because you have to make different choices in order to have that life, that's a different lifestyle than the one you had before where you were probably just grinding and focusing on just real estate. Like, Was there a process of letting go of the fear of like this can actually all blow up in my face and this may end up
Totally.
yeah.
Totally. And it's a process, but I couldn't have done what I'm doing now. I'm the leader now because of all the screw ups I made along the way,
Mm-hmm.
right? I have the team I have now because of the crappy teams I had before that
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to lead. You know what I mean? Like, you can't get where you are without going through what it takes to learn what you need to learn to become the person you're going to be, to attract the right people, all that. I have a brand now, they know I know real estate, but they
Right.
also know I know how to train agents. But like, I couldn't have had that without all that work I did.
Yes.
So like I said, I think it's a season, right? Like, I don't really believe in balance. I don't think that when people talk about a balanced life, I just like kind of roll my eyes. Every day is not balanced, like by
Mm-hmm.
any stretch.
Okay, so you talked about self-actualizing, which really is interesting. That word itself is very interesting and intriguing to me. I know when your mom passed away, that kind of also helped you to, or she left you with the gift of rethinking a lot of things and kind of how you were
Mm-hmm.
going to exist.
Yeah, I think that because I have always been goal driven my whole life. One of my earliest memories of being hardworking and goal driven was sitting at the kitchen table with my parents when I was 12 years old, about to turn 13, and they wouldn't let me go to morning swim practice. And I was like, but I can't make junior nationals if you don't let me do this. I need to train harder. I need to swim more. So I've always had that. And I've always been very intoxicated by other people who have that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, those were my people.
Mm-hmm.
I like being coached. I like being in a team environment. And sometimes I would drink the Kool-Aid too quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That competitive side of me needing to rise to like the cream of whatever group I was in, not because of anything else other than my own internal need,
Mm-hmm.
just my competitiveness. And so that kind of just led to a lot of myopic thinking and really letting others drive what I was doing in a way,
Mm-hmm.
like what I wanted,
Mm-hmm.
and like, if they can do it, I can do it. And I never really stopped to think, but do I even really want that? And is it making me happy? And
Mm-hmm.
so that's really what happened this year. It actually started about 3 years ago, and I was really super depressed and I wanted to quit real estate like every other month. And I
Mm-hmm.
was crying all the time. I was
Mm-hmm.
just looking at my husband like, I just don't think I can keep going. Like, this is just too hard. It's too much of a burden. I was a school teacher and a fitness instructor and an animal trainer. Like, I came from places where people loved us,
Uh-huh.
and I was like,
Sure.
God, I'm just so tired of not being trusted and just like all the BS that goes along with this career.
Right.
I had to think about what I really wanted, and so that's very clear now. I know how much money I want to make. I know what I want to be doing. I know the type of people that I want to surround myself with. And like I said, I've included other passions in my life now that make me super happy and
Mm-hmm.
that bring me joy in a whole different way. And so I'm just kind of a more complete person, I think.
Yeah. More complete, yes, and you have clarity around every specific area of your life. It looks like it, which also just provides you with a great ability to make decisions, right? So if something comes, and
Right.
comes up, and you're like, okay, no, or yes, right?
Yes. Like, saying no becomes a lot easier. It's like, does this contribute towards my North Star of what I
Mm-hmm.
want? Is it
Mm-hmm.
going to take me there, or is it going to take me away from that? And even though it might be something really freaking cool,
Mm-hmm.
I say, well, just not right now,
Sure.
because this is what I want right now. And so I'm just going to set this aside. It's a great idea and it's super cool. And I'd love to work with this person, but it doesn't contribute towards my goal of how I want to spend my time on the whirling ball in the sky,
Yes.
which is very finite.
I want to wrap up real quick with just kind of when you're going about your day, how do you pivot if something challenging comes your way, something deflating comes your way, or what do you do? How do you get back to this place that you're in right now, which is a place of clarity, a place of decisiveness, a place of self-actualizing?
When I can, it's a variety of different things. A lot of times it's music really loud in the car, and
Mm-hmm.
I love to sing. So that's a
Nice.
lot of times, like, I can change my state super fast with a great song. Sometimes it's just the right person. A lot of times it's my husband just
Mm-hmm.
being able, like, hey, I need to dump. Can you just listen for a minute while I
Yes.
complain?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it's movement. Obviously, from my swimming career, I'm really used to moving, and moving makes me happy. And so anytime I can do yoga or swim, or I used to be able to run, not so much anymore, but
Hmm.
yeah, anything I can do to get my heart rate up or use my muscles or strength train or whatever it is. It's probably the most powerful one for me by
Movement.
far.
And you talked about like prioritizing yourself. Can you end with that? Just how are you prioritizing yourself in a way that's allowing you to feel like your cup is full enough where you can pour into others?
Well, I'm really lucky because I have a husband that supports that. Not everybody has that. If I don't exercise and I don't get to go to my acting class and I don't get to get some time to myself, then I'm not as good
Hmm.
with anything. I'm not as nice to my kids. I'm not as nice to my husband. I'm not as great at real estate, like that. All those things make me feel fulfilled. And when I have that, then I can show up the way I want to show up.
That's powerful. And thank you so much. We went over our time a little bit, so I appreciate you for giving more of your time than expected. I love this conversation. You gave us so many good nuggets there. Really wanted to say thank you for that. You definitely added to my life, so I appreciate you.
Well, thank you, David. It was great virtually meeting you.
Yes, indeed, indeed. Well, hey, you have a good day, and we'll definitely have you back on. And I know this is kind of quick, but this has been working for us because it allows us to go in deep right away versus kind of beating around the bush. Now it's like, hey, can you help people understand how you did it so people don't have to recreate it? They can go and follow some of the footsteps, some of the success that you've had and created for yourself.
Thanks. I don't necessarily feel like I'm super successful, but I can feed my family and I'm having fun
Yes.
finally, so that feels good.
Well, I'll tell you, all the things that you were saying were definitely edifying. Like I could definitely add a lot of those things into my day and just kind of what my whole journey. So, thank you
Cool.
so much for
My pleasure.
that.
Thanks. It was great to meet you. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and thank you so much. Talk to you soon.